What is up, dudes and lady dudes? Welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today we've got another video talking about I guess another one of the new decks that are going to get support very soon here, and that is Speedroid. This one I feel like is a little bit different. Lyrilusk is like a slight engine used in like a Tri-Brigade variants, but Speedroids already have a ton of support and a ton of respectable cards that really are pretty damn good. And I have like a whole list here. Konami has like 35 Speedroid cards, and that doesn't even include like Crystal Wings, like the Crystal Wings and all those like Synchro Dragons that like technically could be considered as like an extension of this archetype. But seriously, we're going to go through a ton of the cards that the deck already has, talk about why like having all these tools is great, and then I'm going to talk about a little bit at the end what I'd like to see and where I think this deck can go, because I really think this deck could be a legit meta like adjacent deck at the end of this support. Seriously, the deck has so much, and it's been so like underdeveloped, I should say. I guess, like, I don't know what the word is for that, but yeah, let's just get into it. All right, let's just start off with the cards. Okay, obviously, first and foremost, you have Speedroid Terratop. This card's insane. It's the best starter in the deck. And one thing else that's really important here, I didn't even put it in these cards, we got the Wind Channeler card. It's kind of like a Charmer card, but it's generic to winds. You discard it plus any wind to search any wind, I think with 1500 or less attack. So even though Terratop's at 1, and this would be an amazing one-of to open in your hand, you actually can potentially have 3 more copies of this card and 4 total in your deck if you play that Wind Charmer, just to get you access to this or other extenders depending on the situation you're in, and that's pretty damn good, I gotta say. So I like that a lot. That's also another bonus that just makes this card way more searchable and accessible for you. Really good. You also have Takatambour, great extender in the deck, just summons if you have a wind. You have stuff like Block and Roll. When he's used as synchro material, he'll just summon you a free level 1 token, so extender. You've got Cart Turbo. If you control a wind monster, you can summon him from the hand. Locks you into winds for the rest of the turn, but there's like multiple cards that lock you into winds, and I think that's something to keep in mind with this archetype. Definitely is one of the main drawbacks for sure, is that a lot of the cards in the archetype either lock you into only synchro summoning for the rest of the turn or wind monsters for the rest of the turn. So that, I think, is like the big restriction that these cards tend to have, but I still think there are like pretty respectable like end monsters that you can still get to under a lot of these cards, and even generic ones too. If you're only locked into winds, not synchros, you could potentially make Appaloosa plays. Even if you're still locked into synchros, you could make Dawn Dragster. That's just a generic spell and trap negate. You've got obviously Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, monster negate, Fast Dragon, and a card negate. There's a ton of stuff, right? So let's just keep going. All right, we got a ton of stuff. You have Daiko Duke. You can banish it from grave to just like revive a tuner from grave. So cool, give you extra material from grave. This card's more of a follow-up card. When it's normal summon, it can reborn a level 3 or lower Speedroid. Still good though, +1 overall. You have Horse Stilts. This card's good as well. He pulls another Speedroid out of the hand when he's normal summon, and on another turn he can banish himself from grave to Foolish Burial any wind from the deck. That's actually interesting. It's any wind whatsoever. Very interesting. You also have Marble Machine. This is one of the newer ones. This is just a Stratos straight up. When it's a normal summon, add a Speedroid monster from deck to hand. Again, locks you into winds, not synchros, but that's not the worst thing in the world. You have Speedroid Oja Kid. This is another one on normal summon. You can target a tuner in either player's grave and summon it to your side of the field, so you don't even have to have a tuner. If your opponent Ash Blossoms you, boom, revive the Ash. That's pretty cool. And then you can synchro summon a wind synchro immediately after. That's cool. Speedroid Passing Glider, another extender. If there's no monster on the field, jumps on the board. Pretty cool. Red Eye Dice. This is one of the weird ones, but I do think it could be part of certain combos. It just allows you to target a Speedroid you control and change its level to anything you want, 1 to 6, and that can be huge for hitting certain synchros, getting into certain plays there. Rubber Band Plane. Again, if any monster special summon to your field, you can summon him. Locks you into winds. Good extender. And then you get to some of the extra deck cards, right? So these aren't too crazy. Some of them aren't too crazy, but some of them are actually really good. You have like Chambara. This gives you, I think, what, double attacks, right? Yeah, he can make 2 attacks during each battle phase. And he can also add a speed and one of your banished Speedroid cards back to your hand if he's just sent to grave generically, which is pretty good. So you get some recursion that way. Also, you have high Speedroid Hagoita. This is actually one of the better cards in the extra deck. This card allows you to like synchro climb like so easily, right? Because he says if he's in grave, hold on, if he's in grave and you control any Speedroid tuner, you can just summon him back. But you can't special summon any monsters but wins till the end of the turn. He doesn't even banish himself when he leaves the field. So that's every single turn. Once you put him in grave, as long as you have a Speedroid tuner, bring him back. That's really, really good. Level 5 is a pretty good level 2. Him plus like a level 3 tuner gets you into an 8. It's really, really nice. You also have stuff like High Speedroid Puzzle. He's again one of those just synchro climb cards. He doesn't do a ton, but on the end phase of a turn that he's sent to grave, of a turn that he's been synchro summoned correctly, he'll just add you any Speedroid card from grave back to hand. So yeah, just use him as one of your link climb things as you go up, and then on the end phase you're just going to get a follow-up play for free, which is really, really cool. And then we have Kite Drake, right? So this is another one of the newer ones. This card's underrated as hell and so strong, right? Takes any Wind Machine tuner, and then the other materials are generic. On Synchro Summon, you can activate one of these effects, destroy all other cards on the field, so Zeus, but destruction, but still good. Or negate the effects of all face-up cards your opponent currently controls. So you can either just blanket negate everything, or you can like destroy every card on the field except for himself, so you keep the 3000 body. Also, if he's sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card, by battle, by card effect, whatever, as long as it's sent to grave, you just add any Speedroid monster from deck to hand, so still floats you into a follow-up play. I think this card's actually insane. If we have a way to like quick summon him on our opponent's turn consistently, watch out for this card. Absolutely watch out for this card. Okay, we also have then we get to some of these guys. You have like obviously Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. This guy's amazing, just negates monster effects. Really, really good. Clear Wing Fast Dragon, kind of the same thing, slightly different, but still it still negates cards, which is pretty cool. More like an impermanence effect, but only on an extra monster. Still not a terrible disruption though. And then you have stuff like Rubber Band Shooter. We didn't even throw this guy in there. This guy's insane. Did we forget this happened? That they got a Link monster and it's actually really good. Takes any 2 wins, so that's kind of generic. And during your main phase, you can just get an additional normal summon. And then you also get to like search, do like a weird, what would be a good comparison? I guess like the old Noble Knight search off of Boars, where you give your opponent 3 cards and they like pick one for you randomly for you to add to your hand, or like a Lilith effect getting you a random trap. But the others get sent to grave, and that's the other cool thing too. You're gonna get 1 to hand, the other 2 go to grave, so loads you up for future stuff, right? Put a horse stilts in the grave, put any of the other ones in grave. Daiko Duke, I think, is the other one that's pretty good. He like banishes from grave to revive. One that's in grave. Yeah, so awesome. There's like so much you can do there. Where are we going? This card's really, really good. A great facilitator for the deck for sure. Next up, you have Speed Recovery. This is kind of just like an in-archetype Monster Reborn. Just special summon any Speedroid from grave. Also during the main phase, except the turn it was sent there, you can banish this card from grave to target a Speedroid in grave and add it to your hand. So this is literally a non-once per turn Monster Reborn. Then on the next turn, you just get to add a Speedroid back to hand for follow-up. This deck seems to get so much follow-up, and that's insane to me, because I think this deck could have like crazy plays. Speed Lift's also pretty good. If you can just control a tuner straight up and no other monsters, you can just summon a level 4 or lower Speedroid straight from the deck. Quick effect, not once per turn. Really, really good. I actually think this is, again, like a really underrated card. This is such a powerful like starter card. Kind of like Quick Launch, a little bit more specific than Quick Launch, but still, I think for most intents and purposes, this card will definitely have a place in the deck. And then the last card that's like interesting that Speedroids already have is Redicicle. I don't know how to pronounce that, but its first effect kind of just reborns a Speedroid tuner, but negates its effects, and then you like randomly roll a 6-sided die, and its level becomes that. That's not really the great effect. It does get you a body back on board, but this is a synchro deck, and that does get you a random level, so you don't really want a random level. But yeah, the main effect is this effect here. So from grave, you can banish this. Obviously, it's a trap, so this could be a quick effect. Immediately after this effect resolves, you synchro summon a wind synchro monster using monsters you control, including a Speedroid tuner. So the idea here is like, we're looking at like Tri-Brigade. We didn't think, like, the two traps that are played right now are what, Oath and Rendezvous. We didn't even think those were like that good of cards, but because the deck just has a super easy generic way to just dump them to grave, their graveyard effects are what makes them playable in the deck, and they are played tier 1 deck. This could easily be that. Like I was talking about Kite Drake. If we find a way to get to consistently synchro summon Kite Drake on our opponent's turn, that's an insanely powerful disruption. So maybe there's a combo where you're able to just dump this card and then set up the materials required to make Kite Drake on the opponent's turn, and then you just use this from grave. I think that's really, really cool. And the first effect's not even terrible. It's just that the level thing is a little weird, but still, it's follow-up, I guess. But still a really interesting card. If you have like synchro materials on board, your opponent could try to disrupt you, and you could like dodge disruption even potentially by using Redicycle to like quick synchro away and still save your materials that way. That could be something interesting. I don't know. I think there's a lot going on here. I just think we went through what, like at least 20 cards right now, like talking about like everything this deck has. I didn't even mention like just generic win stuff we could like go into, because this deck could technically play Samorg and just play like a Samorg turbo build, just turbo out a ton of wins and get into Samorg instead of a barrier statue. You could do that. I don't think that's the best way to do it. I don't think there's enough synergy there, but it's possible, right? So there's so many different ways you can go with the deck. I'm so curious. I really think with these tools, the deck has insane like combo ability. Extendability is the big thing. You already have win conditions in the deck. It's not even like this is one of those decks where you're like, well, the engine's pretty good, but it locks you into wins. There's not good payoff. We got Crystal Wing, Kite Drake, whatever, Clear, Fast Wing, whatever it's called, Dragon. You have some payoff here, right? And you could just make multiple Crystal Wing Dragons potentially, right? And that's pretty good in and of itself. So there really is a strong showing for this deck, and I'm really curious where they'll go with the support. I think some of the cards will be meh, but I think a good amount of the cards will be like, yo. Because Konami just seems to love this archetype for some reason. I think Konami's a little bit upset that they were never actually super great. Other than like obviously Crystal Wing seeing play in other decks. So this might be Konami's chance to try and make this deck meta, to at least have it be meta at one point in the game. So we'll see where this goes, guys. I want to hear your thoughts down below. Let me know what you think about Speedroids. Do you think they will be, let's say, tier 2 or higher, like a legit deck that you need to worry about if you're in the meta? Or even tier 1, because clearly the deck's neither right now. We just need to see what these new support cards are, because 7 whole cards, that's a lot of cards. You can fix almost any archetype. In fact, I know you can fix any archetype with 7 cards, because we've gotten archetypes that are great that are less than 7 cards. So yeah. Yeah, let me know your thoughts down below. I can't wait to read what you guys are thinking there. Thank you so much for watching this video. As always, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more stuff from me, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. I want to get the hell out of here. Thank you so much for watching again, and bye. Bye.